Welcome to the Paul Martin Tech Guy Show. 3 blokes, 1 podcast, and plenty to talk about, from community and sport to current and controversial news, Marcus, and of course everything tech. Now, I know you're going to ask the question, where is the tech man? Don't worry about the tech man, he's coming back. He will be back. I spoke with him today. He is back in the saddle, or the chair, or the tech chair, the tech room. Would that be right? The right assessment? In the tech room next week.
Tell you what, he's unbelievable, isn't he? I'll tell you what. Where is he now? Like, where is he actually in this world at the moment?
He's away, so I'd say
I know he's away, but where is he?
I don't know.
He's a man of mystery, that guy. Man of mystery.
Who knows where he is? It's great to be back in the house, mate. Or back in Studio 2 here at Northwest Event.
Big show tonight, mate. Huge show.
Absolutely major. And I've had the opportunity to chat with our guests just before in the green room.
I have to say, tonight could be one of the most interesting shows we've ever put to air.
Is that right?
Yeah, one of the most interesting, mate.
So are you saying that Julio is going to miss, the tech guy is going to miss tonight?
Anyone not listening tonight, they're going to miss one of the most interesting shows we've ever put to air.
Well, I tell you what, he'll be able to check it out on YouTube, on our Facebook channel at Paul Martin Tech Guy, and also Community Heart. It is recorded, so if you've missed the show, well, I hope you haven't. Check it out, down the track straight after this. And to our listeners out there at 989, thank you for joining us here on another Wednesday, and also to our viewers.
It's the ideal stay-at-home night, isn't it? It's cold, wet out there, so why not sit back, have a listen to this show. I'm sure, like me, you're looking forward to it. It's going to be an amazing show.
Well, Marcus, I know that you love journeys and you love traveling. Well, tonight's guest has a amazing, what we call sort of...
you're going to say portfolio, aren't you?
Well, I was going to say portfolio. It's probably not the right word, so help me out. Give me a word.
Well, he's got a collection. He's done a whole range of different things in his life, and we're going to sort of walk through that and hear his experiences. In some ways, we'll sort of feel like we were there with him.
Exactly.
That's how we want to feel.
Exactly. Well, I believe that's going to happen tonight, and I know that you love adventures, I've just mentioned. He's also going to help us in the top 7 a little bit later with most cinematic places on Earth, and I tell you, he has an absolute plethora of places that he's traveled to. So looking forward to that. And also we've got our guys back doing a video session of Money Talk and the replay, 5-minute replay with the boys a little bit down the track. But without any further ado, let's welcome Jake Simkin. How did I get Jim?
Jake, mate. Jake.
Don't worry, everyone stuffs it up.
Jake Simkin. It's not hard to stuff that up. What we should say, Australian cinematographer. He loves journeys. He loves adventures. He works with human justice. I've just made all these wonderful things. He has have a camera, will travel. What a wonderful lineup here, mate. Great to have you here, Jake. Welcome to the show, Paul Martin Tech Guy.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you for being on the show.
Jakey boy, it's great to have you here, mate. And I think Paul is going to be inspired tonight because he's a bit of a stay-at-home sort of bloke.
Yeah,
and he's not really game to go out there and experience the world. He goes to the same place every year on his holiday, and he's got to start changing it up. And I'm hoping tonight, and I'm sure you're going to do it, inspire Paul to get out of his comfort zone and go to some places that might make him feel a little bit uncomfortable, rather than these places where he wants to go to sit beside the beach, drinking whatever he's drinking, in the pool. Those sort of places, okay. But where you're going, where you've been, is much more inspirational, and I'm hoping you're going to be a major challenge, major inspiration to this place tonight. So now, Jake, can you just, before we get into things, can you just tell us, who are you? Who is Jake?
Wow.
Who is Jake? Jake is Jake. Yeah, some young guy goes, there's human beings and there's Jake built. And I started a nice, little quiet life. My mother's Malaysian. My dad's Australian. He was in the Air Force. I grew up in the Air Force Base. I'm one of, 150 kids that was born on the Air Force Base in Malaysia. Unfortunately, with computerized systems, even though I'm an Australian citizen by birth, it does not have my particular segment on the computer to select being born in Malaysia. So they keep on saying, "Oh, can you send us your citizenship?" It's like I'm born Australian. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, I had a pretty fairly easy childhood. I grew up in Footscray. My family, we went through poverty. We lost our home. We had a shop in Footscray, and lucky enough, my dad had a friend who owned a second house, and we could sort of stay in that house and slowly build itself up. But when I was really interested in war photography in particular, and I was really interested in seeing the world. And I remember my mother being Asian, my dad, they always wanted me to be in a scientific field, in a doctor, or any of these roles that sort of make money and have a successful life.
Of course.
But I was 16. One of my friends was doing a documentary on surf life culture, and we were going to go to Torquay, and he knew that I was really good at cameras, and he goes, "Oh, do you want to come and film this?" And so we were filming basically naked ladies on the beach and stuff, and surfing, and how surfboards were made. Finally, my friend, I think he was a little bit more obsessed with naked girls. But yeah, I went, fuck, what am I doing in my life? Like, I don't want to study science, and I don't want to study mathematics, advanced mathematics. I had actually graduated when I was 16. I have a very, very high IQ, except now it's probably way degraded. I actually passed 2 years of schooling because I just studied way too hard. And then I just realized what I wanted to do is I wanted to work in film and TV, and I wanted to work in photography, and I wanted to tell people stories. And so one of my first stories that I ever did when I was 16, I did a photographic story about basically junkies and homeless people in St Kilda. So before, all this gentrification of St Kilda, people lived in the trams and stuff on the big tram junction where Ackland Street and stuff is. And I photographed those people there. And then I also went to Gatwick House. Gatwick House was like a place where it was almost like $5 a night or something like that to stay. Some of the most craziest people you'd probably ever see, prostitutes, all of this. I was a 16-year-old kid. I got basically shanked in the arm with a beer bottle by an Aboriginal guy who did not want me to take his photo. But that changed me. It changed me a lot. And I realized that I wanted to learn my craft, and I wanted to tell stories and work on documentaries. Except I went through film school. I got into basically doing ads and commercials and feature films and movies. And I really saw myself as being a cinematographer and just working on movies. And then somewhere along the line, I will talk about this guy called Fredo Dirk. If he's ever listens into it, I'll probably send a link to his. He lives out in Preston Way, but Fredo Dirk was this old grip, and he had the most amazing stories that you could ever hear of. And I just wanted to be that. I didn't want to film people's stories. I wanted to live my own. I didn't want to make movies. I wanted to be the movie. And so I was looking for that way out, I guess. And then it came with the tsunami in 2004 in Banda Aceh. It also hit Thailand and a few other places. But my mother's best friend worked for a Malaysian NGO called Mercy, and I managed to get on the boat and go all the way to Indonesia and go to Banda Aceh, and 300,000 people lost their lives to that tsunami. Many more people died from dysentery and diseases, diarrhea, children. But yeah, when I landed on the boat, there was just people being buried in mass graves. And I remember being was about to become 24. And it was pretty hard to see. I broke down and I cried. I couldn't photograph human tragedy. Felt like this was not for me. And I went to the beach to cry, and there was these kids playing on the beach and they're making sandcastles, and they kind of told me, they wanted me to take their photo and stuff, and I took their photo. I don't actually have a copy of that photo. The photo, maybe if I actually contact UNICEF, I might be able to get it, because I submitted it and it got into the UNICEF newspaper. And these kids just asked me to play with them, and it changed my perspective. And I realized there was hope in really hard places. And, we should try and help humanity with what you can. I mean, I have two hands, and with those two hands, I can do so much more. There are people in this world who probably can't do what I've done, or can't see the idea of going to a place that's really hard, a place of conflict. And so they give money in charity. And this money, obviously, that's okay. But I came from a family that we didn't really have money, but we had charity. My mother is the kindest person you'll ever meet in the world. She's given a lot to migrants that have come here to Australia, to people that are in trouble. She's opened the homes to families. I remember sleeping on the couch because some woman had been beaten up by her husband, and their family she was going to stay with her kids and stuff in my room. I had to give up my room. I kind of almost resented it as a child, but I realized what human kindness can do. And in fact, even today, I was driving with my dad. I picked him up from the eye doctors, and there was an old lady who had fallen down, and she had a walker and stuff, and nobody had stopped to go and ask her how, help her get up. And so I quickly stopped the car. I told my dad I'll be back, ran off, and just helped lift this woman up. And lucky enough, somebody else came as well, and we talked to her and stuff. And it's just, it doesn't hurt to be kind in this world.
No, it's a good point you make there, Jake.
Very good point.
So good. We could just listen to you all night. We got Vilma's actually made a couple of good comments there, Paul, just to say g'day, always enjoying the show, and wanted us to give her a little bit of a wave there, Paul. So we better give her a wave. G'day, Vilma. We're not putting her messages up on the screen, but they are sort of here small on the screen, I can see, Paul. I don't know. You're in charge of tech tonight, so obviously we're going to struggle, but
no, we won't struggle.
So mate, I know speaking of incredible experiences you've had. Now, why don't you just name drop some of the most interesting people or famous people you have filmed, video, taken a picture of, met? Just quickly give us maybe a top few that you've sort of connected with.
Well, Anthony Bourdain is probably by far my favorite person I've ever met in this world. I don't know if people know who Anthony Bourdain is on this show, but he was a chef, an American New Yorker chef who, he became a TV host, and he presented a place called Places Unknown, and No Reservations, and the show about traveling around the world, eating great food, meeting the people. And he was an editor for a newspaper called Roads and Kingdoms, and he read my articles that I wrote on about Syria and Yemen, and he contacted me and he went, "Hey man, like these are I'm going to say the F word, fucking amazing, and I like, how can I hear more about your story?" So I had someone who I probably admired want to actually go and see me and listen to my stories. And he came, saw me in Istanbul, and we went to the big island. We drank beer and ate food, and just we talked so much that we missed the last ferry back to the mainland. And so we stayed in a little lodge, and everyone knew who Anthony Bourdain was at that lodge. So in the morning we had this amazing food spread, and they were just amazed by us being there, and we told them, like, this food is way too much. Like, you guys have to, the staff and stuff need to come and eat with us.
Help out.
Right, Jackie, so, tell us that quick list. We've got a time schedule here, mate.
I go my list. if I go to my list, Barack Obama, I met him in America. I met him on the U.S. Army base in Afghanistan. I've met Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, Bill Murray, and a whole bunch of extra celebrities. So
we've got Imran said hello too there, Paul.
Imran said
better put his hello up on the screen.
Well, good to see Imran jumped on. So I work with Imran, help build people's portfolios and photography work. So it's always
great. Good man, Imran. We love Imran.
Listening in.
Well, tell us about the most challenging places. I know you've been to a few war zones and really some really dark places, but I love what you said before, that you can find hope in dark places.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Just give us some insights about some of the places you've got that have stuck in your memory that you'll never forget, and that sort of can help us understand the pain and the hope that's around the world today.
So some of the places that I've been to, the most thing that I'm probably famous for is going to Afghanistan. I spent 6 years in Afghanistan, documenting Afghanistan, working for different NGOs and helping out wherever I can. I worked for PSYOPs. I worked for an NGO called Skaterstan, which was teaching kids skateboarding. We also taught rock climbing, and I also taught the girls' team boxing. I also set up for disabled basketball with the ICRC, with the Red Cross. And one story in particular for Skaterstan, there was these two girls, Fazila and Faranas, and those girls were like my daughters to me. And I helped pay for them to go to higher education or have private schooling. And they were girls who went to Skaterstan and could learn skateboarding. They were Fazila was the first girl who ever learned how to skate in Afghanistan. And Faranas, for example, she was married off when she was 15. And there was nothing I could do to help change that. I had 5,000 USD in the bank. I offered that to pay for her to be able to choose who she could marry, to be able to live a life first before having that decision. I drove all the way to her hometown, which was about 6 hours away, because she got moved from Kabul and they were up in Jawzjan, which is 6 hours up north. And the brother refused. Basically, the brother married somebody else without permission, and that was her punishment, is the way I put it. So that was quite depressing, and Fazila got sold off to prostitution. She was the daughter of the fourth wife, and the father owed money and decided that this was the best thing to do. And it took a really long while to find her. But I did find her at, they sort of have these tea houses where these girls, offer their comfort and thing. Obviously, you can pay money for a thing. And all of these guys have guns, and there was going to be no John Wick sort of like fight out. I was one person. But I did know police commissioners, and I did know people in power that at least got me into the room, to just using the sort of threat that I could call them up. All I wanted to do was see her, and she resigned herself that her life was not going to get better, and I could do nothing to help her. So, but I did end up having to talk to people who helped her out and got her out of her situation and got her to a shelter, but she would remain anonymous and I would never know what happened to her. And I didn't know what happened to her for almost 10 years or so until she sent me a message on Facebook Messenger just saying that she's alive and, and she's well, and she's living in Turkey. She ended up migrating and escaping.
Amazing.
Today.
There must be so many stories like that have impacted you and changed your life. You got other stories? I mean, okay, Afghanistan. what else have you got? I mean, it's just incredibly great insights to have for us. Because we don't understand what's really going on, do we?
Yeah, I covered Iraq and I covered Syria. I covered the Free Syrian side in Aleppo, and at one particular time I was in Aleppo and we were under siege, and the government forces had closed off all exits out and just bombed us constantly. We got bombed at least 200 times a day. I'd be picking up dead body and dead body parts and putting them into the truck. I was helping out with the Syrian civil defense and helping them working out and triaging who we could help and who we couldn't help and who would probably have to die. We had to give them at least burial rights. And that's really hard. And that's a really hard thing to see and sort of go, because you want to help everybody. And, I think the saddest thing
is a life that we don't know. Like Paul and I have not experienced that. We wouldn't really have a clue what you're talking about. But being there, being bombed 200 times a day and seeing dead people in the streets, lifting them up, all this sort of stuff you're doing, it must have you must be affected by that for life.
Oh yeah, totally affected by it for life. So I end up having what's called moral injury, and I could be sitting here talking to you. We could be at a bar, we could be in an environment, and I just don't feel happy. I don't feel satisfied. I would rather be in Syria helping out, doing amazing things, just finding something I can do. I come from an educated background that can at least give me a job that I can be able to support hundreds and thousands of people and try and alleviate suffering. Even if I can alleviate suffering from one child and give him some candy or give him, some sort of hope, that meant more than just, the beer I could drink or the great food I could eat, here in Melbourne. And it's a hard one because you just feel like you just regret it. And it doesn't matter about like the injuries I've suffered. Like I've been stabbed in my face and the back of my ear and top of my head. And I've been, I had a bullet wound go straight through this leg here. And another one where shrapnel went through this part here of my knee. I've been stabbed in my waist. And, and it doesn't matter because, trying to help people matters most.
So even though that's all happened, you still go back there. What do the people say to you? I mean, this is a choice. You've made a choice to go over there, help people. Your life's on the line, but you're just there to help people. What do they say to you? I mean, what do you say to them?
Most people are very welcoming. You're a guest and you've come to this country to try and do good. So people are very accepting, and you have places like Afghanistan where poverty is quite thing, but they want to make you food and they want to give you a drink. They want to be able to praise you for being able to make the difference, to come and try and help somebody's life. And you may not be giving anything, but they want to give you everything.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's something we can learn over here. What do you think the lessons is for people listening to the show that haven't experienced anything you've experienced?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the message you've got for people? Like, what's the message you got for Paul? He leads a pretty easy life, pool parties, whatever he's doing. What message have you got for people like that, from your experiences overseas?
Just be kind. I mean, you don't even have to travel. Just be kind. It's easy to it's easy to be focused on yourself and your own family and your own sort of thing. But there are people that have come here as migrants and they're looking for a better life, and we should be able to give them a fair go, to give them an ability to raise people. The greatest heroes are people that lift others. So you don't need money in this world. You just need to lift others. And the people with lots of money and stuff, you can have money, you can have all the money in the world, but people are not going to remember you. There are people who remember the things that I've done and helped out, like in Skaterstan, and they will always tell me that you've been my best teacher that I ever had. I'll always remember this, and it goes on for years and stuff, that you have these connections with people that you've helped see them realize, their potential.
And do you think a lot of, sorry, mate, but do you think a lot of people over here don't understand the trauma that a lot of people have that come to Australia from a war zone? I mean, it's just it has an impact on them. So them coming to Australia, it does impact how they come into the country and how they live their life here, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we don't understand war. As Australians, we don't understand war. We don't understand trauma, to a extent of like trauma. Like I've been to South Sudan. I've seen like even government soldiers chop off the arms of people, civilians and, their enemies, and dance around with their arms like, to some hip hop song. And it's just like, if you're some kid who's been through that or seen and witnessed that, you're pretty much traumatized for life. So, all the things that I've seen, it's just, I've seen a man eat another man's heart out. It's a hard world, but we should work in a collective for collective healing and being able to we are, as an Australia, a multicultural community and society. We all value each other's religions, and we value each other's cultures. But we do live under Australia, but we should be always welcoming to integrate everybody into our society. For a fair go, for ability to have enterprises to grow and build a strong Australia. You can see, I mean, this is one thing I love more about Melbourne is that is that you've got different communities, and it's great when all the communities all blend together, and you can be, I can see from even like when I'm in New South Wales, like, you really got strongholds of communities, but, we need to build more of a multicultural community.
Jake, and I think, obviously you've got a book, and it's titled Afghanistan, and obviously it's a place that's very close to your heart. Bring it up there, mate. Let us have a look. Look at that. Where can we get a copy of it? Where can people buy it?
You can get it online. I don't really like the print of the book, I'll tell you the truth.
Okay.
It's quite pricey, but if you ever want to check it out, it's about me and Holly McKay, who was a journalist that I was with, another Australian who is now an American, and she and I went together to Afghanistan to make a documentary and photo book about 20 years of Americans being presence in Afghanistan. And lo and behold, 6 days later, the Taliban took over. So in context, it was during COVID time in 2021, and Melbourne, COVID sucked ass. I'd come back to live here, and after living in Turkey for many years in Istanbul, and I basically had a few jobs that I really did love, and then COVID came, and then I had no jobs. I was an Uber Eats rider, and I'm sure you could change that thing from cinematography to Uber Eats Uber Eats rider. And it's just like, I was a tour guide thing, and everything got closed down, and I had to sign. We got the money and stuff to make this book. We got a pre-sale thing to go and travel to Afghanistan, and I organized it all. I organized all my old contacts. We had it, and we could see this war was starting to brew with the Taliban. Now, I wasn't really sure how fast the Taliban took over the country was over literally 2 weeks, and so I had signed with Border Force this piece of paper memorandum that said I would not return back to Afghanistan, to Australia, for a minimum of 3 months if I leave during COVID time.
Wow.
And so I signed this form, and I'll get back to it later after the Taliban took over on that particular issue. And so, yeah, the Taliban took over. We're in this state called Mazar, because we heard that there was going to be a big battle against the Taliban versus some of the sort of tribal sort of militias and the army, and then everybody fled, and the Taliban just rolled in the middle of the night into the city. They didn't really have to fight shoot another, shot, or have to shoot anyone. We barricaded the hotel. Literally sandbagged the doors and stuff because they were going to come and get us. They're going to have to fucking fight for it. I set up a whole bunch of stuff that looked like, it was like going to be a set from Die Hard. I was, planning to abseil out of the building. There would be a way that I'd get out.
Crazy.
And we're in contact with the FBI there was the Australians didn't really do that much. They just at least gave me a phone call, and we made plans for like helicopter rescue, and like I took off all the aerials and stuff off the roof with my 11-man toolkit. That's the only pair of tools that I had. So we could get it land. And in the end, it's like, oh no, we can't land there. But then in the end, the Taliban did come, and they said, oh look, we've actually been told by the US Embassy to escort you back over the border to Uzbekistan. And we traveled with them. But the one thing that they said was, well, if you want, you can come back to Afghanistan under the obviously Taliban.
Crazy.
No, they were really nice, and that was really weird because I really expected to be in a orange jumpsuit and held as a political prisoner, and that didn't happen. They won. They had won somehow fair and square.
Amazing, Jake. You might not realise that Paul and I run a charity called Social Engine, and we actually help refugees from Afghanistan in our pick and pack warehouse in Dandenong South. So I wonder what advice you've got for Paul and I as we run this charity with Afghanistan, mainly women, but blokes as well, like they've come into the country. The English is not great. Their ability to find jobs is really tough because of the language barriers. They're very smart people. I must bring you to say good day to a few of them, but what sort of advice would you give to us and these Afghanistani refugees that are in our country looking for work, wanting to start again?
First thing I always say is ask them if they can cook your food, and maybe even do a kebab thing. And if they cook you a kebab and stuff, they pretty much accepted you. If you're drinking tea and stuff, and they invite you to drink tea, they'll discuss everything that's happening in their lives and stuff. And just
like a kebab, Paul. That's a good idea.
Absolutely. Just say let's do a barbecue. They'll be totally in for it.
Absolutely.
And they'll probably cook some of their own food. You'll get to try some of biryani things that they have. Kabuli palau is their national dish. Absolutely great. But just food and stuff in general to connect. But just having conversation like that one-on-one, it's what makes you a good leader. It's what makes you a good. It's just being able to listen to the people. And also Farsi is actually a really easy language to learn. Dari, the main language in Afghanistan, it's actually two languages, to tell you the truth. There's Pashto as well. Pashto is very difficult, I find, but just be into wanting to know who they are. And they're willing to open up and tell you what's with their lives and what they need. It really comes down to a conversation. That's the truth. That is by far the hard truth. It's just having conversations and just
using food as part of that opportunity to have that conversation and open up dialogue and so on. If you just joined us here 989, guys, we're here. I'm not going to say Jim. It's Jake Simkin.
You can call me
sensational. No, Jimmy. I don't normally make the mistakes. It's usually Mark who can't pronounce.
Don't worry,
That's just-
Afghans and Arabs, they always call me Jack. Jack.
Jack, how are you?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
reckon he wants to be called John Wick, mate. With
John
some of
Wick,
his stories
yeah,
he's
geez.
got.
Jeez.
I think he's got some Johnny Wick potential stories.
Oh, yeah.
Jake, I've got to ask you though, what's next? What's your next journey?
What's my next journey? My journey is actually with my daughter. I have two daughters, in fact. One is 16 or 17 now, and the other one is 3. And I met both of their mothers actually in Afghanistan. One was Italian, the other one is actually Russian. But yeah, for me, I'm working on my own photo book and travel book. It's called Have Camera Will Travel. I'm working on that book, but my 17-year-old, when she becomes 18 and she finishes high school, she wants to come and live with me, and so I want to take her on a road trip around Australia. I want to go do some rock climbing. I want to go and show her a life that I wish I could have done that to her when she was younger, because I chose this different life, and as much as these adventures and stuff seem amazing, I neglected, the love and comfort of looking after my own child. And I knew, in fact, that I couldn't be there for her. So her mother wasn't really in love with me anymore. So, but I knew she had my child, and she wanted to raise her. I got to see Mia over time, and I get a chance. She came last year, and we did a road trip. We went rock climbing to Mount Arapiles. We spent a week there. We went surfing. I taught her all these different little things, and just camping and eating marshmallows and talking and just connecting.
Yeah,
And that's my next story, really. I might go back to Syria and go do some filming and stuff there. I was going to go see my daughter for Christmas in Strasbourg, but I thought I might stop off in Syria or Afghanistan. Probably Syria. I really want to see that country now that I guess the war is over and the Assad regime has been toppled. It'd be an interesting time because obviously the Islamists won, but there's so much dynamics that is happening in that region that I would love to just at least spend 2 weeks there.
That's awesome.
See a lot of my friends that have returned back to living in Syria and just see how they're getting along. I wish I had lots of money in the world. I could just keep on traveling and keep on telling stories, but I don't.
Well, I'll tell you what though, Jake, and for our listeners and viewers out there, top 7 most cinematic places on earth that you've traveled, Jake, and we thought we'll change it around a little bit. So I'm really impressed with where you think those top 7 are. And just after this, mate, we're just going to do the top 7 at 7 just here in a couple of seconds. But as you can imagine, Jake, we have a little bit of fun around the top 7 at 7, and it's usually a different sort of character or topic. But tonight, Jake's top 7 cinematic places on Earth. You're a traveler and you're a journeyman. So your number one, what's your number 1 cinematic place on Earth?
Afghanistan, without a doubt. It's the most amazing place. The light, the hills, the mountains are so high. Land is almost unforgiving. The sun, can be bolsteringly hot, but then the sunsets, they go and linger for so long.
Isn't it amazing?
That you can just admire this golden light. The people, just traveling, just being in this open land. I have.
It sounds like you really fell in love with the place, mate. I mean, incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a real deep love for Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I mean, I'm somebody who loves riding motorbikes, so I've ridden all of Afghanistan on motorbike. I did that actually. I went to every province and stuff on motorbike in after the Taliban took over, because some of the places were too dangerous to travel when on a motorbike. But yeah, the places that I saw, yeah, like WA, that's definitely like WA. And then you got an area called Nuristan, which is it's basically pine trees and just these forests, like this like European forest that's just set in there. And Nuristan, there's a certain element of people who remember Alexander the Great and the Greek gods, and there's a few hidden Greek statues that you can find in Nuristan if you look hard enough. Chitral in Pakistan has this amazing stuff that's all dedicated to the Greek gods that still kind of exists to this day. Another amazing little spot to visit. So yeah, Afghanistan is my number one. I love loving good kebab. And number two, it's a cross between Syria and Somalia, to tell you the truth.
Wow, two interesting places.
Very interesting, yeah. Wow.
Somalia is the wild.
Would you visit either of those two places?
I'd love to.
You'd love to?
Yeah, well, I've been in Lebanon.
Maybe Jake could organise a charity tour where we go to these
that'd be a
countries.
great idea.
And
I was actually thinking about being a tour guide, so I would love to actually show people Ethiopia. There's a place called the Dallo. It's this volcanic sort of acid bath. It's like 50 fucking degrees. It's so hot, but it's amazing. The acid baths and stuff, the lake and stuff is green, and it will actually disintegrate your skin. But it's totally incredible, out of this world place in Ethiopia. It used to actually be part of Somalia. Somalia is like the wild, wild west of our modern day times. Like, I don't know what it's like being cowboys and stuff, but the closest to it is probably Somalia. And it just seems so wild and out there. And the tribes and the people, you get quite... They're somewhat, quite aggressive people, and those people are the greatest of nature, sort of thing. And and they're so welcoming to you coming to the thing. And the place Via Roma, definitely scary. You're a white person, basically, or light-skinned person in a very dark skin sort of neighborhood. You stand out like a thumb. Everybody wants to know who you are and why you're here. But the food is amazing. Lobsters is about $10.
That's in Somalia.
You'd be
in Somalia.
Wow.
Yeah, there's the beaches in Via Roma and the restaurants in Via Roma. Now, some of the chefs are five-star Michelin chefs that have lived their lives in like Norway and Sweden and have moved back to Somalia. Somalia is coming back to sort of thing, but it is also ravaged by so much of climate change, and you've got massive floods, and you've got massive windstorms, and so this place of elements where the earth is angry. And in fact, it's also something that I also value, is probably the environment and living sort of thing. And so seeing these different terrains and just being mesmerized by our world, absolutely beautiful, sort of in its sort of weird sort of nature.
Syria, pretty amazing, Jake. I mean, you talk Syria. I would just for time's sake, we have to move that forward. But you talk Syria, India. But what's really intrigued me, and then you talk number 5 was Kenya, but number 6, Burma and Congo. So number 7. Tell us a little bit. Give us a quick roundabout on Burma and Congo.
Well, Burma and Congo is like there's virtually not too much roads into that country. Most people have to walk around places or ride bicycles. The road path and stuff is really short. And this also goes down to conflict and war. And so you kind of almost have to walk for most of the places in these areas in the Congo. You don't have a choice, or by boat. For the Congo and stuff, it's by boat. Same as Burma, actually. It's the easiest way to travel from town to township. But there is this sort of feeling of this lost art and this lost art of travel, where you kind of have to go and step back, and you don't get to be in some fancy car and drive around. You got to do things the hard way. You got to walk to places to meet people. I mean, Burma was ravaged from war, and it's quite funny because I always remember I've pretty much been to every country that Rambo was in. So, and I made this joke when I did Afghanistan for the first time, and I actually got into an interview and talked about it. It was like, I saw that film Rambo 3, and I just wanted to play Buzkashi. And I actually played Buzkashi in my first week and got knocked off the horse and almost crushed to death.
Wow.
But I still continue to play Buzkashi. And then Burma is also on that list and stuff, and it's really hard and difficult. And the government, soldiers wanted to. I mean, basically, they were at war with the Karen, which is a Christian organized or group and ethnic group of people, and they would set up landmines and stuff. So we actually built this little machine. It was like a little tractor, and it would roll over these landmines that the government soldiers would set up. Because these are foot landmines that would kill children and women as well. So building these tiny little tractors and running over landmines just seem totally absurd. But saving lives is still and hanging out with these doctors and teaching them medicine. And if the government soldiers come, we would run. There would be alarm bells, and the youth and stuff had learnt that running and your feet were the most important things that you could have. They played and dedicated their lives to sport and running, because if they needed to run away, they could.
I'll tell you what, Jakey, we could talk all night, and I think this is a good insight to your books, and maybe we need to have him again on, because I could sit and listen to you all night, Jake.
Absolutely.
I feel like we've got another few hours of the show to go, just to go through your life. But it's been great, so great having you on the show, Paul.
Absolutely.
And I'm just hoping you're going to get out of your comfort zone because of Jake tonight.
I'm out.
I'm
done.
Fantastic.
I'm done.
Oh yeah.
I'm inspired by it, mate. I think it'd be amazing.
Yeah, just find maybe a charity that you might be interested in and see if you can go and see it.
Yeah,
that's
it.
Yeah, go and see a project and see if there is money that you donate to. You want see if it's possible that you can check that out, or connect with somebody that you probably know, some migrant who probably has been living and knows some NGO or some orphanage that you can go and give some gifts to some kids, and just travel out of that comfort zone. Know that when you have a purpose, it's easier to go into a place that seems uncomfortable, because it's easy when your purpose is leisure and stuff. Sure, Bali's great, but when your purpose is giving and kindness, you'll go wherever you need
it's
to.
It's a great word for Paul tonight, Jake, and it's been so great having you on the show.
Well done.
Paul's going to trade in his Bali trip for Syria or Somalia or Burma next year. So that's fantastic. You've achieved everything I wanted you to achieve tonight, mate.
Well, one day I hope to be a tour guide, and I'll take people to hard places.
Good on you, mate. Thanks so much, Jake, and we'll look forward to getting you back on the show and tell us more of your journeys. But stick around, because we're talking about money. We've got Renee coming up next, and also Nate with the 5-minute replay as we take you through to 8 o'clock. Stick around if you like, Jake. But thank you, and all the best in your future.
All right,
See you later.
Mark, sorry I couldn't be in the studio tonight, but look, I thought I'd put a video together and just I actually wanted to recap today. Last week we talked about my client and the reverse mortgage, and so I had a chance to meet with her, and I just wanted to share just some of the detail that came out of that meeting. So look, just to recap the client profile, she was 63 years old. She's receiving the disability support pension. 3 years ago, she purchased a home for approximately $725,000. She withdrew all her superannuation to help with that purchase, and she also borrowed an additional $40,000 from the bank to complete the property purchase. At the time, she didn't seek any financial advice, so she's just gone out and done this. She wanted to get into a home. She, 5 years ago, separated. So, this was now her taking her next steps. Current financial position, we said she's on the disability support pension. The thing is, she's living it tough. She's tied up all the money in that property, and so she's living from fortnight to fortnight. So no surplus. There's little financial buffer, and she's through that loan that she's got a little bit of redraw in there, about $4 or $5 grand, and she's increasingly concerned about her cash flow. She just feels as though, hey, if an emergency hits, she just doesn't have sufficient emergency funding. Now, she's come to me because she's heard about the reverse mortgage. As we discussed last week, we went through the 3 different options she could consider in terms of reverse mortgage products. She wanted to know what was the right solution for her, and so we discussed all those things. But essentially, she's looking for additional cash flow to improve her lifestyle, relieve some financial pressure, and also do some renovations on her home, which is unfortunate that she only bought it 3 years ago and she's already looking to renovate. Now, her proposed strategy is to take out a $100,000 reverse mortgage. She wants to use part of those funds, as we said, to renovate the home. She acknowledges that she's not that good with money and expects that she'll have spent the $100,000, in a number of years. The thing is, with her strategy, it was, I need the $100,000 now, and I'll sell my home in 5 years, and we'll repay it. And then, and in 5 years, she'll move into a retirement village, which is hopefully a cheaper option for her at that point. So now there's a problem with this strategy. We've already said she's 63. She's quite young to commence a reverse mortgage, and Mark, I know that you noted that in our catch up last week. At age 63, it is young to start a reverse mortgage. Compound interest has far longer to accumulate at the age of 63. If I live to 90, it could keep on compounding somewhat forever. And if property growth, if the value of her property, grows modestly over the next 5 years, much of her equity could be eroded because of the reverse mortgage. Now, given her plan is this 5 years, the estimated outcome, so she's going to sell her home, repay the mortgage in 5 years. She's got to pay off the $100,000 she borrowed, and she's got to pay off the $50,000 interest that she'll have accrued over that time frame. Now, that's just an estimate. It could be more, might be slightly less, but more likely to be more, if anything. So total cost to her is $150,000. So she solves today's problem, but creates a much larger problem for tomorrow. Because she sold a home now in 5 years. She gets her, let's say she gets 720. Take away your 150, it kind of leaves her just with 570 to buy the new place, and so it's not going to leave her with a lot of cash flow after a sort of a $500,000 purchase. My recommendation to her was, though, instead of borrowing against the home, let's sell the property in today's market. Now, I know with all these government changes, prices, you're not getting the prices that you'd like, but the market's only down around about 6%, so she's going to get close to what she wants. So sell the property in today's market for $720,000. Purchase a retirement village, so shop around and look for something in the $500,000 price tag. Repay the outstanding $40,000 mortgage. In this scenario, you avoid having to renovate, so don't renovate the place, just sell it. And then retain, through this process, she'll end up retaining, after all her costs, around about $160,000. So that means she'll have that money after she's got a retirement village or retirement home. She'll have $160,000 in the bank. Now, this cash flow, this strategy improves her position by approximately $13,000 per year, or $500 a week. So it saves her $5,000 a year in loan repayments. And from the $160,000 that's invested, she could be earning, drawing down say 5% a year, or roughly $8,000 per annum. So your $5,000 loan repayment savings and your $8,000 from your investment, that gives you $13,000 a year, $500 a fortnight. No longer will she be living from paycheck to paycheck. She'll have that extra $500 every fortnight. So look, the conclusion, the final outcome, instead of taking on more debt, she's going to be debt-free. She improves her cash flow by approximately $500 a fortnight. She has $160,000 sitting in the bank or in investments, which acts as her emergency reserve, and she delays the need to undertake or start a reverse mortgage to later in life, when compound interest is far less likely to erode her wealth. So the key message, or the key takeaway from this person's strategy, what she's looking at and what we're recommending, a reverse mortgage isn't necessarily a bad product. It can be an excellent solution in the right circumstances. But in this case, the client was looking for a short-term fix that would significantly reduce her long-time financial security. Sometimes the best financial advice isn't finding a better loan. It's stepping back, restructuring your situation, and making decisions that improve your cash flow and preserve your wealth over the long term. Hey guys, great sharing my client's testimonial.
Good on you,
I
mate.
look forward to
Thanks for coming, mate.
catching up with you all
Well,
again
mate.
next week.
Good on you, buddy. All righty. Comes Mark.
There's a rant today, and it's going to be by Paul Curry. The
No,
rant
no
man
rant.
today. Come on, mate.
No, I can't do the rant.
Come on, mate. You're a ranter. Come on.
Because of tonight's overwhelming, no, I can't do the rant tonight. Next week, stick around for next week.
All right, next week we'll do a bigger rant next week.
All right.
I am a bit worried about the Bombers, mate. Just quickly there
Just
before we
quickly?
go. We better go, you mate.
We better go to mate.
Got a rant about
He's got a
Robert
big
Buckley.
title.
To be back for another week. Paul, Mark, hope you guys are well. I heard Renee is calling in on this one too, so I'm sorry I couldn't be there, which I promised last week I would be there, but I've had a crazy week. I've just moved into this new office.
Yeah,
Which
not only
I
you,
hope it's
buddy,
not too
we've all had
echoey
crazy
because that's all I can hear right now. There's a new office on Lygon Street, so after this, I'm probably just going to get myself carried away with some pizza and some pasta.
Oh,
but,
sounds good.
Here we
it's
go.
been super
Same.
busy on my side, but let's jump into
Go
some
Bombers.
sport news for today. Let's start off with footy.
Yeah.
So the Fremantle Football Club has just finished off as minor premiers. Currently, they've got 3 more wins than anyone else in the league, which is honestly awesome for the club that hasn't won a premiership yet. The question going around the league right now is, should they just tank and rest their players going into finals? Again, 3 more games. There's no way they
It's
lose
almost
that
a
top
tanking,
spot.
by the
They've
way.
guaranteed themselves 2 games at Optus Stadium. The AFL has come out, though, saying that any team that tanks over the next few weeks is going to face repercussions. So it probably rules out any tanking, and I think they'll be okay, considering they'll have the first week off because of the wild card, will most likely win their first final and then get another week off before the quarters, before the prelim finals. So I think they're going to be okay. They look like the team to beat. They're absolutely flying, and I don't know that anyone's going to beat them. On the weekend, probably the most notable game was the Richmond-West Coast game, where Richmond actually beat West Coast at the MCG, which again is another interesting one. They held the number 1 pick before that game, and with that win, they jumped on top of Essendon, putting them back into last place. So Essendon now holds that number 1 pick, which there's varying degrees of belief in what this number 1 pick could be. It's probably not the strongest draft class, especially at the top. There's quite a few prospects vying for it, but the Bombers honestly have a pretty good hand to choose from. There's 3 names which you should remember: Archie Butler, Gus Teixeira, Ethan Drever. They're 3 of the top 4 prospects that aren't tied to clubs, being Cody Walker and Dougie Cochran. all three of those players are diehard Bombers supporters. So if the Bombers decided to go for any three of them, they're probably locking in a player that's willing to stay at the club through the hard times, considering they've supported them for their whole lives. The other prospect in that mix is Harry Van Hatten. He's a 6'8" ruckman. He's a prodigy. He's been the number one pick consensus pretty much all year. He's had some very form in the last few weeks after picking up a quad injury in some school footy, which has kind of brought his stock down a little bit. But, you know, the kid is still a star, and the Bombers might choose him to pair with some of their young developing midfielders, being the Sam Durhams, the Dyson Sharps, and the Sullivan Robies. So we'll see where they go there. There's a few options for them. In other news, Tasmania is throwing money pretty much everywhere right now. They paged an offer to Finn O'Sullivan from North Melbourne, $15 million over 8 years, and he rejected that without even taking a meeting with them, which is absolutely crazy, not even to hear them out. But I guess that's a good sign for North that he believes in what they're building. They've also paged a similar offer reportedly to Sam Lawler of the Richmond Tigers, the former number one pick. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I can't imagine he leaves Tigerland, but you never know. $15 million is a lot of money. They're also trying to pick up an experience, or they're trying to land an experienced coup. What they've done is they've gone to the other CEOs and they've offered that they will pay off significant chunks of expiring contracts if those teams trade their players to Tasmania.
Parish.
For instance, the Bombers have an expiring contract in Darcy Parish, which is worth probably a lot more money than what it should be. Yeah. Tasmania will be willing to take Darcy Parish in a trade and pay off back as well. All of that.
There you go.
Meaning that the Bombers don't have to pay off that contract and open up so much more salary cap room. So Tasmania's trying to land some more. They're trying to land some more experience.
They can probably take whoever they like,
because I think there's going to be close to jump at that.
Yeah.
The last thing to probably touch on, footy-wise, the best game of this week is looking like it's going to be Carlton and St Kilda. Obviously, Carlton has been absolutely flying, and right now they both sit in 10th and 11th spot. So the winner of this game, if St Kilda especially gets the win, will jump on top of Carlton and take that last spot in the wild card. So that's a game to watch if you want something with high stakes. In other sports news, Australia just came out on top at the Commonwealth Games, absolutely demolishing everybody. We finished with 171 medals, including 70 gold. That's 40 more gold than second place, which was Britain. So the Aussies have done an extremely good job at the Games, which was supposed to be in Melbourne, but was in Scotland, if I'm not mistaken. And another cool fact is that we won a medal in every single sport. So Australia, again, dominating the Commonwealth Games. It'll be interesting to see whether we can take that over to the Olympics in 2 years' time. That's all from me. I'm pretty much up on my 5 minutes. Paul, Mark, I hope all is well.
Hey, good to see you, buddy.
Can't wait to see you guys and get in there live again. And to everyone, hope you have a good listen, and we'll
go the Bombers.
Soon.
Good on you, mate. And thanks to the boys for their contribution. Also to our guest this evening, Jake Simkin.
Jakey.
Marky, you'll see you next week. Cat Goes Meow is up next. We're a little bit over time, and I do apologise.
Sorry, Cat.
Sorry, you're ready to go. So take it away, and we'll see you next week, Marcus.
See ya.